what kind of swimming fan were you as a young guy?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I Swimming World, I read that, cover to cover, I'd hear, workouts of, what these guys were doing and the times that were, that's where you went. They would post all the, all the U.S. national standard times were posted in there, so you could see what, the junior cuts were and senior cuts. Yeah, I love that. I love that magazine. And it was so hard emotionally or mentally to bridge the gap from where I was to what these guys were doing, and yeah, that was a big part of motivation. I also remember the '84 Olympics. So when that was in LA, seeing that on TV and seeing those guys swim was pretty cool.
The boycott was great because the U.S. won everything, right? Like that. Obviously, the '81 wasn't great, but if you were a young swimming fan like you and I were in '84, it was like, this is how it goes. Yeah. The U.S. just wins every single event. They play the national anthem every time. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There was a guy there. It was a German swimmer, Albatross. Remember that guy?
Michael Gross.
Yeah, Michael Gross. Yeah. So I thought he was awesome. Yeah, it was great.
And we beat him a couple of times at that meet, right? I think our 800 free relay beat him at the end of that. There were some really cool things in those Olympics to kind of spark young swimming minds like ours. I want to follow up with you on the club move at 13. Yeah. Tell me about that club move, where you went. And also I'm interested, you describe it's around this time that you start dropping big buckets of time and, you really start improving. Who are the coaches and who are the influences that are helping you as you're making this improvement?
Yeah. So I left and I went to a program, at the time it was called Livonia Spartan Aquatic Club. And the coach there was Dave Seagraves. I was just so lucky to get, I'm just lucky I chose that program because he and I were a great fit. And he was a real intense, old school, grind out kind of workout guy. And maybe because of that, I left this, YMCA program and I showed up there where literally workouts were 2.5 hours in the water. I did that for like 2 months and it just wasn't for me. Like I remember I walked up to him, I think I was 12, 13 maybe. And I just said, hey, like, I'm not up for this. Like, this isn't my thing. And he was like, all right, there's the door, like, thanks for trying it out. And so I did another year, that winter I trained again at this YMCA program. And then, just took that time to just put it together and say, look, I just got to go. So I went back in, knocked on the door, he says, you're back. I said, look, I'm here and I'm ready. And that was really, I think, the, turning the corner moment. So I came in, and met, made new friends there but basically gave myself over to that program. And again, so then I was in a whole new environment of swimmers and it was around that time, like that first, 2 state meets that I, went to, like the short course and the long course state meet. There was just guys swimming so fast, and I was doing okay. I mean, I was there racing and I may have, gotten to top 8 in some events, but, I can't remember the short course season where that meet was. I want to say it was maybe Oakland or something, but I just remember coming home from that meet, like on Sunday, just mentally sitting in the car thinking, okay, like these guys are swimming like that. I'm going to do it. Like, I don't know, I'm just going into this with a whole new mindset. I'm going to train hard. And so, I kind of just made this, commitment to throw a switch and just like everything. And I just started paying attention to everything. Like you know, how people swam. I think that summer, the long course meet was in Ann Arbor. And I just remember seeing guys like in my group, like Tom Bailey and Mark Loveland, and they were kind of top of the podium guys then. And like, I thought there was just such a precision, you know, to how their strokes look compared to what I was doing. So I just became really obsessed with, you know, technique and all that kind of stuff. And it was really at that moment where, you know, when I had a choice to kind of back off, or double down like on a set, or, you know, really go for it, I just kind of kept pouring myself into it, and things just kind of took off from there.
You know, as you describe these, Ron, they seem like very mature thoughts and very mature decisions that you're having, you know, even to walk in and look at a coach and say, okay, now I'm ready. You know, like before, not so much, but now I'm, you know, like, you know, as an older brother, I'm curious if you could describe your personality type a little bit. You obviously know yourself much better than I do. You know, should that not be surprising to me to see such thoughtful decisions from a young guy at that point?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I was always, you know, swimming was a great sport for me, just because I'm very kind of, you know, internal driven, introvert. You know, like to think, you know, think things through, and you know, and you know, my recounting of this is probably not as, you know, I probably didn't go in, you know, with a pipe and, you know, say like, I'm just, you know, I'm time to get here.
Let's sit down and let's hash this out, Coach.
I was just there to, you know, I was probably not thrilled about it, but I was like, hey, you know, can I swim again? But, you know, the thinking in my head was, this is where I need to be. So yeah, but, you know, that's my personality. I mean, I'm not, I'm definitely an observer, and pay attention, you know, and I'm still that way. So, you know, but that's kind of the sequence over that year, how things were. And it's funny, you go through all that stuff, and you know, like I remember those meets, right? I remember the thoughts coming out of those meets. We had some senior guys in our program at Livonia Spartans at the time that were, they were all kind of transitioning into college. And I remember during that time just swimming with them in practice and really looking at their stroke. Like I remember, you know, some of these, they had, you know, really long, pretty technically clean strokes, and just trying to copy that, right? And being able to tell right away, hey, this is a whole different, you know, way of swimming. And I think you know, a lot of faster guys kind of go through that kind of metamorphosis where they go in at some place and decide to make that change. And so
I've definitely had a few of those conversations. Sometimes they happen post national camps or post juniors, but they always seem to come with some eye-opening awakening of what other kids are doing. You know, it doesn't matter what meet it's at or what camp it's at. For you coming home from that state meet, having watched kids that were better than you and saying, I can get there, I want to get there. That's the refrain, I think, that gets repeated many times.